joining Michael Hamilton in the finals of the U.S. National Championships. Will it be Daniel Rutkowski coming to us from New Jersey, 13-1 on the day with FAB?
Or would it be Jacob Baugh, age 33, coming to us from Waterloo? And like you said, the record a little bit better than that 6-2 record this weekend. He is in the
slightly better.
He is in the semifinals here, but let's see if he's going to have to overcome what could be quite a tough go of it for him here. But I've seen longer odds get beaten by just as good of players as Jacob Baugh.
Absolutely, and that's why we sit down to play these matches. Anything can happen.
And I just got a note from our editor, will be Daniel going first here as well.
By his choice, of course. Daniel, the #1 seed, an incredible record thus far in this event. Only a single loss, and that loss, Daniel chose not to block. Could have. So, maybe under some dubious circumstances.
A 13-1 record with a slight asterisk next to it.
Yeah, I think so. I think Daniel had a very good chance of ripping through this event. With this list of 5, it was really interesting, Ted. In between rounds, I got to hang out over at the quality and look at what's on the top tables. Not really any FAB over there. A little bit different metagame, maybe already adapting. Saw a bunch of Dromais near the top table. There's a Dash. There's a Rhinar floating around. So will be interesting to see where that metagame settles out. Of course, the requisite Oldhams, Icelanders, they're all up there at the top tables as well.
Yeah, Daniel, the last chance to bring home my prediction of this tournament that FAB would take it down. And we're going to start off with a pretty big attack here. It looks like 7 for a Lightning Strike. Jacob's part really gets it, just throw 3 cards in front of this.
Yeah. Plan stays the same for Jacob. Got to play defense. And once again, Jacob is ending the first turn, his turn 0, with more life than he started with. 43 is the life total for Jacob.
Arsenal set up here for Daniel as well, and a counter on that Tunic. That could be very, very important that he gets these 5-card hands, because those are going to be the ones that really push through. You were telling me before this that you think it's really important for him to have those big go-wide turns in this matchup.
Yeah, absolutely. He just has to find a way to make sure Jacob can't line up effective blocks and make sure he finishes the job before Jacob gets the entire set online. However, Jacob already doing some work towards that, does find the Spark of Genius. That's going to go ahead and get the first part of the toolbox, Plasma Purifier, onto the arena to complement that induction chamber that Dash obviously started with.
Pretty nice timing here as well for Jacob to have it on this first turn for him, where he's a little bit less under assault. Got to, fully sequence his hand in. Gets to use all of them for blocks, gets to replenish that hand and do this without having to forego blocking to do something like this, because that's a part of the matchup that can be rough, is if Jacob does draw some of these items, that can be a problem in some of these turns. Being able to block can be problematic, and then not getting to them when he needs to or getting them in play can be a problem, because he might not have the resources to play them either.
Yeah, he would like them out of the deck basically as soon as possible. Soaring Strike is the play here from Daniel Rutkowski. I want to note, too, Mask of the Pouncing Lynx is the choice of headpiece for Daniel. Typical wisdom says control matchup, you play Mask of Momentum. You want to go ahead and have that increased threat, possibly get some extra cards in hand. Daniel sees it differently, though, and I have to say I'm inclined to agree. This fits very much with that theme of get wider than Jacob can account for. Maybe that mask turns into something like Assault the Wound, some kind of more powerful attack from Daniel Rutkowski. Actually, Daniel not playing Salt the Wound, so he's going to find a different option, but something that just accentuates that really go-wide turn.
I think you're exactly right here. So what you're going to see is Daniel's going to be attacking multiple times a turn, right? And while that sounds good of Mask of Momentum, he knows Jacob's here to block and block a lot. And I think Jacob's going to would have very much focused on keeping him from getting any extra cards off Mask of Momentum. Mask of the Pouncing Lynx, a little bit easier to cash in for some card. You know when you're doing it, and you know what card you're going to get. And all the information is generally in front of you when you're doing it, so you don't have to rely on getting something through.
And look who it is. It's the Blazing Hedgehog popping out to offer 4. Go again. Love to see our friend Blazing Hedgehog getting in the action. Is going to be blocked efficiently by the zipper hit.
Little damage going to leak through just 1 here. There you see that Blaze Hedgehog. God, just great work from our social media followers. Y'all really outdid yourself this weekend. So much engagement from everybody on Twitter this weekend. Love to see it.
Yeah, Flesh and Blood fans continue to be the most passionate fans around. Love talking to everyone this weekend. Love hearing from everyone. Love seeing how much they want to contribute to our broadcast, and we appreciate every one of them.
Shuko doing a lot of work here, as it will in this matchup. There's going to be hopefully an activation every turn for Daniel Rutkowski here.
Yeah, that's the goal. That's the way his deck is built. That Tiger Stripe Shuko, it's kind of an ancillary piece in some builds. I think in Daniel Rutkowski's list, very, very critical to increasing his damage output. Also does a great job messing with those Oasis Respites, maybe making them a little bit less effective. I'm curious how much of the stuff like Oasis Respite, obviously I expect the Sync Belows, the Fate Foreseens to be in there. I don't think we'll see things like Unmovable, just a little bit too large to be efficient in this matchup. I do think we'll see things like Healing Bomb coming down to gain some life, and Jacob Baugh right back up to 40, slow and steady.
Hey, slow down just a little bit. I want to be here a little bit longer. I want to get my money's worth. I want to get my camera time. We're going to make this game go as long as possible. And we're going to another 5-card hand from Rutkowski here. This is a turn with Spring Tunic as well. So this one could be a big one if he's got up. I think I see a Lava Burst set up.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see Fireworks Cannon until it's Art of War time. I think that's the real moment where Daniel's going to go for it, try and find as much damage as possible, maybe cash in that Mask of the Pouncing Links. A very effective combination is something like Double Strike plus Art of War. So we'll see when the moment is right for Daniel to go huge. I think the goal right now is just make sure Jacob isn't actually increasing over that 40 life threshold and just offer steady, consistent damage until we get to that Fire Explosiveness that we know and love, the 20, 30-point outputs.
Absolutely not. I'm going to circle back just a second. I love the point that you made that we might not see the really big defensive reactions. They're generally a little underwhelming in this matchup. You're spending 2 or 3 resources to block 7, but there's not too many cards in Daniel's deck that actually attack for that big of a number.
No, 4 is about as big as it gets. So it makes the Fate Foreseen Sink Below absolutely perfect.
Oh, they're amazing in this matchup.
Oasis Respite also coming in at that sweet spot, assuming you can dodge the Tiger Stripe Shuka, and maybe at some point that will make things awkward for Jacob Baugh.
And I think Jacob's going to love the fact that they're still both at 40 here early in the game. Jacob got to be loving his life total here, not completely under assault from turn 1. He's pacing this game pretty well from here.
So we're going to go ahead and start with a Phoenix Flame.
It's going to attack for 0, but it's going to get the chain started. It's going to allow Ember Blade to come in with Go again.
Do you see the energy potions on Daniel's side? Again, that tells me we're playing towards that massive turn, just absolutely massive setup.
Yeah, if your opponent's going to try to trade 1 or 2 cards for all of yours, block out like this, setting up for one of those big turns, like you said, with Art of War to push through tons, that's the plan. That's the goal, and Energy Potion is a big piece of that. You can kind of develop that on 1 turn, and then a turn or 2 down the line when you really need these extra resources, you don't have to pitch a card from your hand, and then that allows you to do these 6 and 7 chain links in 1 turn that can really push a ton of damage over to Jacob, because that's what Daniel's looking to do.
Yeah, if you watched yesterday, you know the control thesis put forth by my friend down in New Zealand, Jason Chung. Thinks it's critical that control decks face decks that attack for about 12 a turn. Control decks will really, really excel in those scenarios. When they run into problems is when they start breaking that threshold, get to that 20, 30, and they don't have to do it that often. Just a few times a game, you find a 20 or 30 attack, and that can be enough to defeat control decks.
Phoenix Flame going to be brought to the hand for Fi's activated ability. It's going to attack for 2 here because of the Shuko, but that's going to be met with that's all you got. Really good block from Jacob here. That's going to help him net a little bit of value, and this is going to be followed up by a Lava Burst. There's 2 more cards behind this.
Yeah, the chain never ends when it comes to Fi, and Jacob finally getting value out of that all you got. That card has seen a bunch of play from Jacob, usually just playing it as a defense reaction into Oldhim very happily. Completely fine as a 0 for 3 block, but when you get to get a card as well when the combat chain closes, that's when this card kicks into supernova gear.
Daniel's going to actually float a card here at the end of turn as well. He's going to have a card in his arsenal and a card left over in his hand.
Do not see that a lot from Fi's. Generally extremely good at burning through all of their cards. In this instance, a little bit smaller attack, just chipping away at that life total, 38. And here we see, I believe, our first Art of War of the game, possibly drawn by Daniel. Hard to tell. There's a lot of Fi cards with a lot of orange and yellow on them. Mm-hmm. Those are the Art of War colors that I usually use to signify, oh, this is the important moment in the game.
Okay. That all you got going to go into the pitch zone. Then we're going to use that to power up the pistol to a 3 here and get an attack in for Jacob.
Actually, Tannen, this round's on me.
This round's on me. I apologize.
I think that's a big difference, and I want to highlight it just because that is a very efficient card at shutting down these very, very go-wide turns that Daniel Rutkowski is going to be presenting. That -1 to every single attack makes a big difference. It's scary to give a hero another card, don't get me wrong, but Fi so often attacking for 1. I think this will be an absolute all-star in this matchup in the right scenario.
Also, Sigil played here for Jacob, back up over 40 as well.
Got to be frustrating if you're Daniel to see Jacob just continue to cross that 40 life threshold.
All right, so it looks like we're going to have a belittle.
That is, of course, going to get its friend, its best friend, Minnowism.
Let's see what color we're going to get here. Do we have both colors of Minnowism in the list for Daniel?
No, we are only looking at blue Minnowism for Daniel. Not quite as hard on the Minnowism Belittle package as many decks go. We're looking at 4 copies of Belittle, 3 red, 1 yellow, and then 2 copies of blue Minnowism in Daniel's list. Of course, you're going to see all these lists over the next few days. Make sure you're checking out fabtcg.com.
For all your flesh and blood needs.
All of your flesh and blood needs. Except singles. I get those elsewhere.
And I know you love your cards.
Yes. Too much, if you ask my wife.
Well, I'm not asking her.
Yeah.
Asking me, I think you're doing just enough.
Exact right amount, if you ask me.
All right, here we go. We got a block for 3 of this. This is going to be the first time that we're going to see an Art of War. This is going to push this Belittle's attack up to 4. This is going to leak a damage over if there's no defensive reaction behind this.
Yep, and these are the really scary turns if you're Jacob. You have to see what Daniel can get up to here. If the output is really, really strong, could be in for a world of hurt. Obviously, the worst case scenario, you start chaining these Art of Wars, and you just get just massive turns from this Fi list.
I was watching your brother play actually earlier today. He was doing really, really well in the calling, and he was super far ahead of a Fi, and then he ran into that exact turn you were talking about with an Art of War into an Art of War, and then about a 7 attack chain link.
Yeah, he got popped for about 30 on that turn. Game slipped away, but that's just what Fi does to you. You can steal a game out of nowhere.
Yeah, this is the power of the Draconic Ninja.
Another Soaring Strike here.
This one for 5.
Daniel. Yep. Getting larger now. That Art of War continually offering increased threat.
Yeah, 5, a really good break point in this matchup. Jacob has a ton of ways to block for 4, especially when he has an Arsenal card as well. Somersault can actually block for 4 when played from Arsenal.
Yeah, 5 is a little harder. As we said, we don't expect to see those huge defense reactions, things like unmovable, unlikely to be in the deck, just not very efficient here. But, you know, there's some possibility where you just say, I want as many defense reactions as possible. I don't really care. Jacob's deck doesn't really do that many things. It's kind of very singular in its plan. It blocks, loads up pistols. That's it.
Here's what we were talking about. Here's a stop for 4 on a defense reaction, so 1's going to leak through.
Yeah, that means we are going to get that trigger. Unlikely to have an impact, not one that often gives something go again. Let's see if it does in this case. Nope, looks like it's just going to go ahead and be another pitch to go ahead and fuel
an Emberblade attack.
Emberblade.
Yep, it's going to have 3 and go again. There's still 2 more cards in the hand.
Of course, there's also those Phoenix Flames lurking in the graveyard. There's ways for Daniel to get back those Phoenix Flames. So all kinds of things that can still happen on this combat chain.
Yeah, this chain's about to get big. It's going to keep going, I have to believe. So here we go. We got the activation of the Fi. So 1 resource is going to use. So here comes the Phoenix Flame back. This is going to be attacking for more because of Art of War. So we have the Shuko activation just yet? I don't think so. Looks like this is going to be attacking for 2. A block of Fendel's Fighting Spirit, and they're going to get a gain of life for Jacob Falls there, so back to 37.
Critically just fell below that threshold, so really nice timing there from Jacob.
Take the tempo.
Okay.
It's going to be for 6. I think there's a second copy of this behind this as well.
That is scary. We don't have another resource floating, I believe, right now.
Yeah, I was going to say, we'll see if anything about that's going to happen. You know, there is the Snapdragons, but I'm not sure if maybe this is going to be saved for next turn. It does look like it is going to be arsenaled up.
Jacob thinks it's important to go ahead and full block there, and I'm inclined to agree. That extra card that Take the Tempo can give you heading into your next turn can make sure that once you've put together a turn like this, it just keeps going. And if I'm Jacob and I got through that turn at 37 life, I'm over the moon. That's 1 Art of War down. Jacob is counting those Art of Wars carefully, hoping he can burn through them and stay at this very safe life total.
Flake was making his typical jokes last round, talking about gymnastics with Flesh and Blood. He compared it to, chess boxing, you know, if we did Flesh and Blood gymnastics.
Yep.
And I think Jacob would be doing cartwheels right now.
No question.
After getting out of that turn, both of the players at 37. The life total for Daniel almost doesn't matter.
I would agree with that. It's all about where Jacob is at with this setup. Almost forgoes attacking until all the pieces are in place.
And I like that he's setting up this attack as far left as possible of the chain. That makes me believe,
Yeah,
hey, we're going to get another long one.
Maybe a little bit of a tell from Daniel there, or a bluff, trying to say, hey, this could be a really wide one.
Empowerment is well played here. It's going to add a power. It's going to make it hit. And it's going to draw a card here.
One of the most threatening Ninja cards. Going back to the OG
so scary.
Welcome to Wraith days, this one has been terrorizing Flesh and Blood players for a very long time now. Only 2 copies in Daniel's deck, which I think is very interesting. Obviously, the swings are big, but the actual output is pretty low. It's a red, so I get it. I understand why you may not want to play all 3 copies, but you see the type of swings this card can create.
It does block for 3, but you're generally not doing that too much. But the extra card that it gets while making sure on hits happen, because here's the thing, it's going to make something hit, and yeah, you get the draw card from one hit, but then you have the other attacks as well, you know, that have on hits, and if you can make that happen with an Ancestral Empowerment, you can get leading to those huge, powerful, ridiculous turns from 5.
This card also can make your opponent's life a nightmare in conjunction with Mask of Momentum, where you come through for that 3rd attack, and it just almost forces them to overblock because the 2-card punishment of Mask of Momentum plus Ancestral Empowerment has won many a game of Flesh and Blood over the years.
All right, we got attack for 3, and now an attack for 1. This is a blue. It looks like that 1's going to get through to Jacob Baugh. Everything else has been almost blocked out this turn besides the 1 from the Ancestral Empowerment getting through. So Jacob Baugh down to 37. Phoenix Flame returned to the hand here for Daniel. We know that there's a take the tempo in his arsenal as well. So it's going to be attack for 2 for Phoenix Flame because of the Shuko.
Yeah, again, Tiger Stripe Shuko just adding little sprinkles of damage throughout these very wide combat chains.
That's why you saw the blue brand of Cindergall get played there. It's going to add extra damage than just this card. And this is going to be a Lava Burst as well. Rupture is triggered, so it's going to be attacking for 5.
Hyper efficient, 0 cost, 5 attack.
Here we go. It was at a Sink Full Load. It's going to be blocking 4 of the 5 here. I think 2 cards still left over in Jacob Ball's hands. So Daniel's trying to think, do I want to attack with this Take the Tempo with these 2 cards left over?
Yeah, would have to, I believe, go ahead and burn those Snapdragon Scalers and saying, you know what, not the time.
Not the time. He had the resource ready to go, but I kind of agree with him there. There's 2 cards here. What exact? Hopefully they're not anything that Jacob can really get going. You don't mind. Look, damage, yeah, take it.
Yep.
You attack me, I don't care what it is, take it.
Would not matter at all.
Yeah.
Instead, it's just going to be load up pistol, go ahead and activate that Plasma Purifier, pistol attack for 3. First attacks here from Jacob.
3 damage prevented over to Daniel. I cannot believe he's going to find any blocks here.
Yep, and Jacob's going to say, okay, let's try it one more time.
The first one was good. How about the second one? Daniel going to go down to 31. Tunic up to 2 here.
I like to say the life total doesn't matter until it does, Tannen. And once once you fall into that 15-ish range, I mean, this isn't Oldhim, right? We're not looking at a Rampart of the Ram's Head on the other side of the arena. So should we reach those kind of lower, more dangerous numbers, if Jacob has the combo together, they do become perilous. And
absolutely.
You know, Daniel still has a long way to go before we're reaching that point, but it is something he'll have to pay attention to.
Brandon Cinderclaw is going to be met with a throttle here, and that's going to lead into an Ember Blade attack for 3 and go again. Trying to get wide. Here's another block as well.
You know, Daniel very at home playing these go wide strategies. When I first met Daniel, we played in kind of the rubber match rounds of a Pro Quest. We had already both locked top 8, but he was playing Chain, I was playing Prism. We battled, he beat me. He was great, he was playing Chain, and just did it masterfully. Very adept at managing these go wide combat chains.
Yeah, I think Chain was a very good way to get your reps in for 5. If you could handle Chain, you could handle 5.
A nice big attack on the end of this combat chain here. Command and Conquer going to come through.
Threatening the arsenal from Jacob Baugh here. It's either going to get the cards out of his hand or the arsenal card that he has set up.
Yeah, we know that in past matchups, we've always seen Jacob Baugh load up that arsenal with more defensive cards. Things could be a little different in the FAB match, but I don't think the same priority is placed on making sure you always have a defense reaction in your arsenal as it is in the Oldhim matchup. So maybe this is a pretty threatening card here from Daniel Rutkowski.
Jacob's still considering. Well, the judge tries to confirm which one is actually 6 and which one is actually 9.
That's a good question.
Who knows? Who knows?
I think that's 6.
I'm going to vote. I'm going to vote on that one.
Next round
I
of these
don't, I don't know.
dice, we need that little dot
See,
on the bottom.
I think since you're on the left side of the screen, it looks like a 6. I'm on the right side of the screen. It looks like a 9
Well,
to me.
just the placement of the power sign tells me it's supposed to be there. In all the other numbers, it goes number, then our little symbol for the power of our attacks. Looks like this attack is giving Jacob some pause, really having to think about what to do about the 6 power attack, the Command and Conquer with, of course, that infamous on hit. We know defense reactions cannot be played to this chain link.
So it looks like it's going to be fridge time.
Yeah, and wants to protect that arsenal. It's really interesting to me. Every time I've seen Jacob go ahead and use that skull cap, it hasn't been a block 2. It's been a block 1.
It's never been a block 2, yeah.
Every single time. And I don't disagree with the spots he's choosing to use it. I'm not trying to criticize that decision. It's just very interesting that it keeps working out that way. And I think it shows you how Jacob prioritizes usage of his equipment. It's about preventing the right things. It's not about maximizing. It's about finding the spots where that Arcanite skull cap will be most useful. And if it's at a point where Jacob has more life, he uses it anyway.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's the biggest point, right, is if his deck's doing what it's supposed to be doing, he's going to be at a higher life total than you.
Yeah,
so
it happens a lot.
Always waiting to get to a lower life total, it might not ever come. So might as well get the block in, and then, you know what, if he's wrong, then his life totals goes down. He gets the second block out of it later, possibly, you know. So, I mean, I think I like it a lot from Jacob.
Yeah, I highlight it because it shows the type of decision-making you have to make when playing Flesh and Blood. There are no rules. You have to be willing to adapt on the fly.
It's anarchy. There's
do
nothing
things that other players may not expect.
Rutkowski down to 25. Tuning back up to 3 here. I think I might have spied an Art of War. Brian, I'm not sure. That might be a Blaze Hedgehog.
Yeah, we know Art of War is the sign for fireworks. I don't quite see it, Tannen.
Yeah, I think I saw the Blazing Hedgehog. The color scheme is very similar. You get that yellow-orange. It is yellow-orange, right? I might be a tiny bit colorblind.
To me, it is. I mean, look, I know what I see, Tannen. I don't know what you see. You live in a magical world.
Let's not talk about that.
Of bizarre colors. To me, it looks yellow-orange.
I don't know if we have time for all that. All right, looks like we're going to have to start off with a Belittle, revealing the yellow Belittle that you mentioned earlier. This is going to go get the last blue Minnowism in the deck, if I remember right. There's only 2.
That is correct. Okay. So those Belittles now blunted in effectiveness quite a bit. A lot of discipline with the Belittle Minnowism package from Daniel Rutkowski. Not going too hard into it, seeing it as an important part of his kit, but not the be-all, end-all. Fi can be a little resource hungry. Those really high damage turns, they do require a lot of resources. And I get it. I get a small Belittle Minnowism package being exactly what the doctor ordered here.
Spark of Genius is going to come out and block here.
Yeah, that's interesting. It strikes me as an important card for Jacob. Wants to get that set up online as soon as possible. But the most important thing, preserving life total.
Mounting Anger here, attacking for 4.
No, I think that's another Soaring Strike. They do
okay.
look a lot alike.
I always have a problem with those 2, exactly.
Yep.
Yeah, it looks like we have Throttle block here for 3, so 1's going to get through. So we do have a trigger here. Let's see if it's going to be relevant. See if something gains Go again.
It doesn't happen all that often, but there are good Rupture targets to go ahead and get that Go Again buff, something like Lava Burst, Snatch. All these cards very much benefit from these effects.
Searing Ember Blade is going to come across for 3 here as well, still with Go Again.
Another medium-length combat chain thus far. Haven't seen those trademark Fi explode onto the arena turns thus far, but a lot of tools still available for Daniel. We still have the Snapdragon Scalers. We still have the Mask of the Pouncing Lynx. Just a lot of patience being shown. Waiting, picking the perfect spot to go ahead and get as wide as possible. Blazing Hedgehog coming to the party.
And Jacob did just take that 3 straight off that Ember Blade, so he is down to 27. Looks like we're going to have a Sift block here.
Yeah, a little bit more damage leaking through. Down to 26 goes Jacob Baugh.
The beautiful, beautiful hedgehog. I know you're a big animal lover.
Absolutely. I had a friend in college who had a pet hedgehog.
Right now that Take the Tempo finally coming out of Arsenal. They're using that
Was
Phoenix
there
Flame.
for a while.
Yeah, it's using that Phoenix Flame for resources here this turn.
Again, patience displayed from Daniel. You know, it's easy to write off these FI decks as aggro, 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 do everything, throw all your attacks at your opponent. But Daniel very much showing you need to pick your spots. You need to understand when your opponent is vulnerable to get the most out of every single card. And now he has potentially caught Jacob with only this block 3 in hand. And if so, that Take the Tempo is going to lead to a future big turn, perhaps.
Yeah, it would be the third card to hit this turn if it hits. So it will possibly net a card here for Daniel. We'll see.
Very threatening. Take the Tempo. Jacob looking for a block that I don't think he can find. Does have the springboard somersault out of Arsenal, but doesn't want to give up that last card. So it does look like we're going to get a hit from the Take the Tempo.
So the life totals are even again at 25. So Daniel is going to trigger the Take the Tempo. Yeah, these two have hit. Yep. So this attack action may be played until the end of next turn. So it's going to sit there.
Yeah, that Flame Call Awakening ready to go on the next turn. And that means Daniel going into the next turn with a 6-card hand.
The fabled 6-card
hand.
hand.
And Jacob only playing with 1 card here. So just going to Arsenal, that means Daniel is free and clear. And if this is an Art of War turn, this is where you can absolutely go off as Daniel.
I was just about to say the same thing. If there's an Art of War in these 4 cards, this might be the turning point of the match. We're going to see how good of a hand can Daniel put forth here.
Big draw step here from Daniel.
Oh, I thought for a second that Flame Call Awakening, the second one in his hand, was
yeah,
Art of War.
I don't think we hit that, but look, that's not the end of this turn. There's still plenty of damage that Fi can find, possibly an Enlightened Strike in hand, I think. So let's see what Daniel puts together here. Can he produce a lot of damage? As Jacob Baugh caught a little bit with the shields down there, also burning through the equipment very rapidly. Tekla Foundry Heart already out of the picture. We used both pieces of those Ironhide equipments, and Arcanite Skullcap already holding a -1 counter. So no blocks available from the equipment suite right now for Jacob. That could change if Life Total drops. Maybe that Skullcap comes back online. But at the moment, very vulnerable position.
We'll see how many resources Daniel has available to himself this turn, too. If there's no blue card here, he might not be able to do the entire hand.
Very good point, Tannen. Yeah, there's a lot of things that have to balance nicely. Of course, Mask of the Pouncing Lynx could influence this turn as well, possibly bring some more friends to the table. Rutkowski carefully thinking this turn out. Stakes are high.
I love Mask of the Pouncing Lynx. It's got this little child on it with a little cat mask. It's like so unassuming, and then it just kills you.
Yeah, one of the most fearsome combo cards, I would say, in the entire game. Very capable of producing massive damage out of nowhere. Has been toned down a little bit after the banning of Stubby Hammerers, but look, here's Fi, and we still see what Fi can do. No question the deck did get a little bit weaker in the aftermath of that ban, but it was a ban designed to make sure that Fi was brought down a peg, but still an important part of the metagame, and I think it hit the spot exactly.
We're going to start this turn off with a yellow Belittle.
Yeah, it's going to go ahead and reveal, and I don't think we have another Minnowism here.
So did the other one get pitched?
It's possible.
Right, so I got to believe there's another Minnowism area.
You know what? Actually, I think they both got pitched.
Right.
So I think you're exactly right. The Minnowism is still present, and I think Daniel would rarely play a Minnowism for exactly that reason. You want to make sure they're always available to you.
That's something I would do.
Yep, me too. So now, instead of being idiots like you and I, Daniel just has an absolutely loaded hand, all the resources he could ever want.
Man, you're calling me old all day today. Now you're calling me an idiot.
Tannen, I only call you these things because they also apply to me. So
okay,
that's why I can get away with it.
If I didn't know you loved me, we might. It could have been a rougher day.
You and I are in the same sinking ship, brother. we're on the same path. Now that
it's an old creaky ship too.
Yeah, oh, very creaky. Yes.
Those floorboards have seen better days.
Yeah, so a lot of resources available at this point. I do think that is the E-Strike in hand. Obviously, a lot of cards available as well to go ahead and benefit from the go-wide nature of this Enlightened Strike.
So it looks like the 2 might have come through. Jacob down to 23.
Yeah, damage starting to accumulate on Jacob's side. Slowly but surely.
Here's the Enlightened Strike. Card put to the bottom. Gotta believe this is go again, unless he wants to cash in those Snapdragons. There we go.
Nope, it is go again time still. Again, Daniel showing utmost patience with the entire equipment suite. Everything's still online, ready to go.
Gonna block from another stroke of genius. So it looks like 2 is gonna leak through again. Jacob down 21. Like you're saying, Daniel's starting to make headway here on this damage.
Yeah, and Jacob keeps spending these Spark of Geniuses, which he would much rather commit to assembling his item package, but he's got no choice. He's got to defend.
And he has 2 resources floating here. He's going to use the first one here to use a Flame Call Awakening to go get another Phoenix Flame out of his deck. And there is a second Flame Call Awakening in his hand here as well.
Oh, boy.
And we know that at least one extra Flame, Phoenix Flame has been put back into the deck because it was got from Graveyard and then used for resources earlier. So he does have targets here. So this 3 is going to get gobbled up from Jacob.
Yeah, last-ditch effort. Going to go ahead and make the block here.
How many cards do we have left in Jacob's hand? Is it 1 and then the arsenal, or is it 2?
We've seen 2 blocks thus far. I don't see any resources committed. Jacob drew up on the last turn,
kind of believe
so
it's
it should
2.
be 2.
Okay. Hard to tell sometimes. There we go. There's the second one.
Thanks, Jacob. Appreciate you.
It's almost like he can hear us.
I hope not. I'm not that loud, am I, Tannen?
No, if it's any of us, it's me.
Okay. As is often the case.
I project way too well. Right, attack for 3 with go again. Jacob's going to take this down to 18. Maybe wondering if there's a big finish to this turn that he has to really worry about or another on hit.
Yeah, Phoenix Flame continuing to get wider. Tiger Stripe Shuko going to go ahead and buff that up.
So this is going to be for 2.
Again, showing the power of that Tiger Stripe. Keeps producing more and more damage and threat as this game extends longer and longer.
And I actually think the Phoenix Flames are really, really good threats out of Daniel here because the fact that they're always triggering Shuko, but attacking for 2, that's a number Jacob really doesn't want to. 1, you can kind of shrug off. 2, you don't really want to block.
No, I agree.
And there we go. Hey, he found a good way to block 2. It's a somersault from hand.
That was certainly the cleanest application of that springboard somersault. Soaks up all the damage. Now it's
another
time
Phoenix
for Phoenix Flame again.
Where's our heat wave at? All right, this one's going to attack for 1. Jacob down to 17. There's 1 card left in Daniel's hand. Does he want to set this one up for next turn? I believe this is another Flame Call Awakening, if I remember correctly. Could be wrong.
If only we had the singleton Phoenix form to go get at this point. We don't.
I have seen that in some of the lists this week, but it does look like Daniel does not have access to this. Jacob down to 17, starting to get a little precarious here.
Yeah, the bigger problem for me on Jacob's side is that he's only treading water. He's not accomplishing anything, and does gain a little life here, back up to 20. But if you look at his equipment suite, it just hasn't advanced in the last 5 or 6 turns. It's been block, 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 block.
And I think this is why you heard him talk about this is a rough matchup for him, right?
Yeah, he kind of needs Daniel to just stumble out of nowhere, and it has not come thus far. There is an Art of War.
All right, so this turn might get
and now we see a Mounting Anger, perhaps one of the highest threat cards as far as a chain starter goes out of this FI deck.
Yep, this one attacking for 4 here. Nice break point anyway, but there's no equipment here. Well, I guess there is the Skull Cap here that Jacob might want to go with. But no blocks were declared, it looks like, so Art of War is going to get pumped here.
Yeah, lights are green for Daniel. Going to see how much damage he can find on this turn. Going to start with some Banishment, a couple more cards coming into hand.
All right, let's see if Jacob wants to react here. Still has a window to stop some of this damage if he wants. It has not resolved yet.
So if you're Jacob, you are happy that you're now facing the second Art of War. 1 more left to deal with, potentially, but it is a little scary just given that you're at 20 life and you've only had 1 Art of War to deal with. What are these next 2 going to do, especially as your primary defensive options, such as the Sink Below, start to disappear from your deck?
So it does look like the Sink Below is going to do that, but 1 is going to come over. This is going to trigger. Let's see if this trigger is going to be relevant. It is.
Yeah, it looks like a Fluster Fist there. Going to go ahead and get the buff. It'll probably be our Chain Ender. Searing Ember Blade, the next attack. So a pretty tame Art of War turn, unless there's something particularly explosive coming out of the arsenal. And let's not forget that Mask of the Pouncing Lynx. That also available to go ahead and change the texture of this turn.
That's a big point here. There's a flame. There's still the Mask of the Pouncing Lynx. I do think it's Flame Call Awakening in the arsenal. So this chain, while it looks like it might not get much longer, could actually have 3 to 4 more attacks added to it.
Okay, yeah, that would be some progress from Daniel for sure. And now we see that it is time to activate Phi. Gonna pay a resource, bring back the Phoenix Flame. Phoenix Flame mechanic is so cool.
Yeah, I absolutely love it. This one's attacking for 2.
Yep,
The next one would attack for 3.
Correct, buff from Art of War.
Yeah, we haven't seen the Shuko buff just yet. All right, last resource used from earlier. So this is Flame Call Awakening. This one's going to attack for 4. Is there a Phoenix Flame left in the deck? I'm not sure there is. It looks like, yep, there's one left.
Searching.
Okay.
There should be one. Daniel going to go find that. Last Phoenix Flame. That one going to represent a little bit more threat. Of course, we know that Fluster Fist ready to close out the chain as well. Jacob, I believe, with 1 card left in hand, so looking at taking some more damage this turn, basically no matter what he does. Expecting another 5 or so to leak through, and that's a tough spot for Jacob.
Looks like 3 of it's going to get blocked here. Going to go down to 18, and then the shields are down.
Yeah, and that means both this Phoenix Flame and that Fluster Fist
And here we go. Here comes the mask.
Thinking about what's left in the deck. Is there something else that can really push this damage through the roof on this turn?
Yeah, Rutkowski, I think, checking his graveyard here to make sure there's the exact card he wants here before he sacrifices the Pouncing Lynx. I think he might not be doing that. Yep. Too good of a spot to not catch it in, I think.
Lights are green. He knows he's all clear. So, I said Jacob going to leak 5 damage here at a minimum. I think things just got a lot worse for Jacob Baugh.
Can you imagine if there was Assault the Wound this turn? A Lava Burst is going to do a very good impression of it, though.
Yeah, and you can go Phoenix Flame into Lava Burst, use your Snapdragon Scalers if you want, and push that last damage through with the Fluster
I think the
Fist.
equipment's getting cashed in here.
Seems like it.
Yeah,
Seems like a good spot.
This is the turn for Daniel Rutkowski. He's been setting up the whole game. The real big turn, like you said, mattered so much that this happened on an Art of War turn. Nice prediction from you, Brian.
That's why they theoretically pay me the big bucks.
Yeah, more like the medium bucks, for sure.
They could pay me in Phoenix Flames, and I'd still be here, Tannen.
And
I can't tell you how many Phoenix Flames I have in my house. Like, literally probably 300.
You're a better man than I, Brian.
Lava Burst time, baby.
Yeah, this one's coming in for 6.
Yeah, that Jacob just says, what do you want from me?
Yeah.
I mean, he can go ahead and throw that skull cap in front of it, but that is going to get Snapdragon Scalered.
Guess I'm taking 6.
Yeah, and Fluster Fist going to come and finish off this chain. Just a blue Fluster Fist, but it is still looking at 4. And now Jacob down to a precarious 5 life. Very little setup achieved thus far in the game for Jacob. Still an Art of War left in the deck, and man, I hate counting chickens before they hatch, but things look bad for Jacob Baugh. And you see almost like a resigned jovialness. Jacob's such a good guy, just still a pleasant opponent, even in the hardest of times.
Even keel, no matter what. Just jovial. You can. He has one of those infectious laughs that whenever he laughs, it's hard not to laugh with him. Just a super jovial guy, always even keel. Never really gets too high, never really gets too low. He's one of the people you can't tell if he's won or lost by his demeanor.
And I think that's a great trait to have for tournament card games, and it's one that served Jacob very, very well throughout his career. Now it's time for a little mounting anger to start, and we know how effective this can be at the start of the chain. It presents an awkward breakpoint, continues to do some buffing throughout the rest of the turn.
Yeah, one of the better starters for Phi.
Agreed. Every
turn. Looks like it's going to be met with a sink below.
Yeah, good answer here from Jacob.
Going to get a little filter on. It's going to be followed up by Searing Ember Blade. It's going to use all of the resources that were pitched from that blue. We've got a block.
Brutal Assault. Not really doing its namesake there, more of a brutal defend. Is that a thing?
Tunic's going to get cashed in here. Looks like it's going to go ahead and get a Phoenix Flame.
Yeah, very important that Daniel does not let up, continues to demand cards from Jacob's hand. Doesn't want anything to go wrong, doesn't want Jacob to find that setup out of nowhere, back it up with a bit of life gain, and all of a sudden get back in this one. So Daniel still, green means go, looking to push damage.
Yeah, the one's going to definitely get through here. Jacob definitely doesn't want to block that, but this also means that Tiger Stripe Shuko is up for the task, and yeah, this is going to be a big Attack here is going to get buffed up to 3 from this blue.
Yeah, not bad out of your blue. Flusterfish just coming through to close out the chain, asking Jacob if he wants to donate another card. And Daniel Rutkowski going to head into the next turn with an arsenal. Jacob assessing the relative threat of his opponent's deck right now. What is left? A lot, Jacob. I have bad news. There's still an Art of War in there. A lot of power cards still for Daniel Rutkowski.
Yeah, it looks like this is going to eat the last counter on the Skullcat plus a block from Tunic. I'm sorry, a block from Fighting Spirit.
Faendal's other card.
Yeah, it triggered my Tunic senses.
I hear you. Totally understand. But as predicted, Daniel does make it through that turn with an arsenal. Let's see what Jacob's play is here. Something, a healing bomb, a little bit of life gain could be a nice drop. It looks like it is just going to be a pitch and load up, and that's nice. You do need to do that, but the threat of 2 damage is laughable to Daniel Rutkowski at this point.
And you can see Jacob kind of giggling about this too. Like, he's going to get his damage in. He's going to get that little bit of damage through because you know what? That's his. He gets to take that home with him. If he's going to lose, at least he gets to bring this with him.
One of the milder pews I've ever seen, I will say.
Yeah, that's just a pew.
Pew.
It's like the sad pew. Pew. It kind of tails off at the end as it falls off the cliff. All right. Ronin Renegade's going to be the attack here to start off the turn.
Yeah. Faux head jab coming through. 0-3 go again. Iconic card in Flesh and Blood history, of course, is head jab.
Love seeing the blown up art of some of these cards because you can't, sometimes you don't get to see them in all their splendor and detail on the card.
Uprising, just a tremendously beautiful set.
I find myself saying that every single set of Flesh and Blood. They just keep outdoing themselves every single set. Can't wait to see what Dynasty brings.
Yeah.
We've seen a little bit of the art so far, and it's been a pretty good hit so far.
All right, Tannen. I've played things pretty close to my vest thus far with Dynasty, but I think I'm ready to give you something about Dynasty that you do not know.
I'm ready.
This is going to blow your mind.
Okay.
When the folks from New Zealand say Dynasty, they say Dynasty.
They say Dynasty, right.
Is your mind blown? Is that what you've been waiting this whole time for? Blazing Hedgehog coming through.
I feel unsatisfied.
Okay. I don't know why you'd feel that way.
I'm underwhelmed.
Well, whether you call it Dynasty, whether you call it Dynasty, you should be pumped. Exciting supplemental set just around the corner.
Daniel's pumped to get some damage through here. The Blaze Hedgehog is definitely going to get 1 through, bring Jacob down to 7. See what kind of follow-ups he's got here. He's still got 3 more cards.
Yeah, nice start to the turn thus far.
No
cost for anything, just complete free roll for this entire turn, all 0 attacks. Doesn't feel like it if you're on Jacob's side. And he's like, you get to do this for free? That can't be fair. Jacob looking for a little bit more information here in the graveyard. I don't know if he's finding what he's looking for.
Which is probably not good for him.
Yeah, I think he was hoping for some better news as he riffled through.
Trying to find the 4th copy of a card, maybe?
That would be nice. That might be his only way out at this point. But unfortunately, I don't think he's going to find it there. Of course, our judge staff, very talented judge staff, doing his job throughout the weekend with their deck checks. Going to go ahead and put Faendal's Fighting Spirit in front, gain a little bit of life is Jacob. Very little bit, because it's immediately taken back from that attack. Looks like we got a trigger onto that Flame Call Awakening off the Rising Resentment.
Another free 3 will go again.
Yeah, and there's going to be a Phoenix Flame backing this up for sure, representing at least 1 damage, maybe more. If there's something smaller on offer that could potentially work with that Tiger Stripe Shuko. So, yeah, Jacob going to fall to 4. Now it is time to activate that Phi. Is this just a free 1, or are we looking to head into the next turn with an arsenal? Or are we looking for some power here?
Yeah, it looks like this Renegade's going to attack another free 3.
A second Ronin Renegade, another 3 power attack for free.
Jacob was hoping to get this card going into the next turn.
It does not look good. And I think damage is going to leak on top of it as well. Yeah, Jacob knows he's got to give this card. There's no other option. Otherwise, Daniel's just representing lethal.
It's like a sun kiss.
A sun kiss. Okay, so it's only a 2 block. 1 damage going to leak through. And I think Daniel just debating, do I want this 1 damage or do I want to go ahead and arsenal this Phoenix Flame? Is going to go ahead, force the 1. Jacob falls to 2. No plays coming on this turn.
And I definitely like getting the 1 through there. You know, there's something to be said about arsenaling here, but it's very likely that your Phoenix Flames are going to be attacking for 2 in this matchup quite a bit. So I really like getting Jacob down to the number 2 here.
I'm with you, Tannen. It becomes an important break point as you have Tiger Stripe Shuko active at the end of the game.
Yeah, he hasn't had to block with it like we've seen some of these games.
Yeah, I see a blue Fluster Fist in hand, so we have the resources we need, potentially have a Chain Ender if that's what we need instead to go ahead and benefit from that Tiger Stripe Shuko.
Is this Jacob's last turn in this national championship? So we'll have to find
Step 1,
out.
Brand with Cinderclaw, 3 damage headed the way of Jacob Baugh. Let's not forget, too, Jacob does have those items floating in the deck, too. If they ever end up in hand, that could spell absolute doom for Jacob.
Yeah, I think that would just end the game on the spot here.
Energy Potion going to be pitched. This tells me that maybe we do have that Ender on the end of the chain, representing that 2 or 3 damage, buffed up by Tiger Stripe Shuko.
This round's on Mii's blocking. Now we get a break point.
Yeah, Mounting Anger coming through for 4, and this demands Fate Foreseen. Okay, very important that Jacob had that card. Otherwise,
big for Jacob here.
This was just over.
Yeah, big for Jacob here.
Here's the problem, though. I think we have a Phoenix Flame here. This is going to represent only 1, but there's a Chain Ender on the end. So I think Jacob can fall to 1 here. Has to choose not to block.
Oh, not 8.
Yeah,
Just
8,
one. There
8
we
would
go.
be a lot.
Yeah.
Yep.
Goes down to 1.
Yeah,
and is this?
This is a Fluster Fist.
And it's going to get pumped by the Shuko.
Yeah,
So
this
for 3.
represents 3. Do we have a 3 block? We do. So Jacob stays alive. That was a very precarious turn. It could have very easily ended Jacob's tournament run here. Does stay alive for 1 more go-around.
This goes into a Spring Tunic turn as well from Rutkowski, so he's going to have the extra resource here as well this turn.
Very dangerous for Jacob.
Game becoming very one-sided.
How's the hand? Think I see a blue Minnowism.
I think I may have seen a double strike, if that's a double strike.
Oh, yeah, that's a problem card at this stage. That is the game ender. Attack a couple times for 1 is exactly what you want to do when your opponent is at 1. Syrian Emberblade coming through off that pitch Minnowism. 2 cards left in hand. 1 resource floating, 1 resource available on the Tunic.
That's all you got.
Yeah, clean block for Jacob. What is the 3rd Draconic Chain Link?
Lava Vein Loyalty.
Yeah, just a blue one, but what that means is that the next attack is going to go ahead and get buffed. That Phoenix Flame representing 2 kind of doesn't matter at this point. It's just about finding 5 attacks. They all have to be blocked by Jacob.
Yeah, this looks like a... Oh, well.
Okay, now it does matter. Now that Phoenix Flame does represent lethal off the buff from Tiger Stripe Shuko, and Daniel reaching for it, going to go ahead immediately deploy.
If he could play the last card in his hand, this will put him most likely on to the finals. There is a card in the arsenal that we haven't seen from Jacob just yet, but does this card have block value in his hand?
Yeah, that is the question.
It looks like he has a decision. Either he has a decision or he's dead. All right, so it does look like it's a block from the last card.
Springboard Somersault, perfect block, and then we finish it out with the Soul Breed Strike 2, and that
There's
gets the fist bump, and that means Daniel Rutkowski going to go ahead and move.